Okay, take two. Obviously, there was something I pushed that I had no idea what I was doing. So hopefully you'll all get back on and see what's happening. I can see, sorry, take two, I know, hilarious, isn't it? So fingers crossed we can get you all back on track. And I know Rani, my girlfriend's laughing her head off at me. So fun times here on a Tuesday night. Now, I do have Tai there on a request, so let me just bring it up. She was the one that's saying she wasn't tech savvy, and here I am, one mucking it up. Here we go. I've added her pop up in 1 minute. It is Tuesday night in isolation. We're coming out of it. I hope you're not going too hard and fast, because we want to stay where we are at the moment, safe, so we can slowly open up what we're doing. So Bandhini is joining. So I'm just going to introduce Tai to you. So here she comes. Big drum roll.
Hi, you there, girlfriend? Are we good?
We're good. Oh my God, I pushed some stupid thing and I could just see
It's
myself
all right.
being some viral thing about, you know, having an interview where I can't actually get the thing off my head.
Well, I'm bloody hopeless. I've got to get the kids here to help me.
I've done a few times now, so I can sort of get it. So let me just read out your bio, which I think add a lot more to it. So take it in. So Aussie designer Tai started life as a New Zealand journalist, previously gaining a scholarship to study in Bangkok, and subsequent trips to India on her spiritual voyage gave a passion for textiles, and this was discovered as a new path of her life. Bandhini Design House started in 1993. My God, that seems so long ago, but not so far. In a home garage, a young mum balancing her passion for design and raising a son. After 27 years, Tai Schaffler has joined her and now leads the company in America, which we will talk about as well. So having a deep appreciation for craft, Tai maintains a tight relationship with family-owned textile workshops in Delhi, who hand makes all of the Bandhini products. Bandhini Design House is the only company to be nominated for an American Arts Award in textiles. So welcome, my beautiful friend.
Hello, darling. How are we this evening?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. Have you got your tea ready?
Have I got my what, love? My tea. Honey, I've got my bubbly tea.
Oh, well, that's, you know, that's a different type of tea. I've actually got my
It's my knockoff tea. Okay, that's nice. It's my knockoff tea. Knockoff tea.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I said that you've been going for 27 years, and in this environment of textiles, fashion, interiors, homewares, we are seeing so many businesses just closing down because the environment of retail is so different. And also with you, everything that you do is quite bespoke. It's small leads and small funds of what you're doing. So how do you think you've been able to keep going for 27 years?
Look, I really don't know. A bit of luck and, you know, the Aries determination, I think. It's as they say, you know, business is not for the sissies. But Shaynna, we've always really stuck to what we're good at, and I've never wanted to be the biggest and the best. And I think what I see with my colleagues and, you know, other companies, they expand too quickly and they want to be too big too quick. And, you know, if America taught me anything going into that market, Australia's an incredibly small market. You know, really nobody lives here in comparison. So you've got to be very clever about keeping your overheads down and not being too grandiose and just sticking, as they say, stick with your knitting, you know, stick with what you're good at. And don't try and get into you know, stay in your lane. Don't try to get into everyone else's lane and get into a competitive thing. I've never done that. I'm sort of silly. I just keep to the things that I love and the craftspeople that I use. And I don't know if that's sort of sheer ignorance or what, but it's people know what they can get from me. So
And I think the thing is also, you create a lot of products that are very crafted orientated. So, you know, when I did the intro, that you're interested in the crafts, and it's something that work from the heart. So would you say you sort
Yeah.
of drives you what you do?
Well, I'm very conscious. I mean, when I started all those years ago, I was, I was a hippie, and I was into green, I was into handmade, and no one really cared about eco anything in those days. It was sad, but they really didn't. I mean, even when we started with Neiman Marcus in America, they blankly said to me, we don't have an environmental policy. So I've always pushed that wagon, and also I'm very aware of the handcrafted industry is a dying art. I mean, even in my 30 years of going to India, all those lovely handcrafted weavers, they all used to hand it down, but most of their kids now are going into call centres or IT or whatnot. So we don't have that sort of succession of generational artisans. So it's one of those things, while it was sort of, the trade aid thing and the handcrafted, it was sort of taken as cheap. Now, I think it's coming into its own where people actually enjoy the crafted, handmade, conscious effort that's gone into making something that's not mass produced. So we've always stuck with that, and I've never been tempted. I have never, ever been tempted to get on the big bandwagon of China and just be about the numbers.
Yeah.
So I know what I'm good at.
Comes down to what you do as a textile designer and the people that you work with. You're always seeing different types of ways they can embellish a fabric or create a different fabric design, what they put into it. Is that something you do when you start a collection? Because I've never asked you how, we all talk about what's your inspiration, and that's not really what I want to talk about.
I guess I have generations. Like I've just started to do a series of videos that explains the things that I love, and I guess I start with what I love and what I know. I think I learned that as a young journalist. The best type of writing is you write about what you know. So as a designer, I just translated it and, what do I love? Well, I'm a kid who used to love to fossick and find stones and sticks. So, hey, I put that on a cushion. I do. I mean, I love shells. I love anything that's been discarded from nature. I like the veins in a leaf, especially in autumn. You see, when the leaves are dying and you see the intricate vein system. I love, a moth ended up on my desk. And whilst, I hesitated calling a cushion a moth cushion, I just loved the amazing patterns of that moth. So if you ask me, nature is number one. And because of my love of culture, I mean, my first love really as a young journalist, I thought I was going to be a foreign correspondent. So I studied a lot of cultural things and I got into philosophy. So I'm pretty fixated on people's traditions and philosophies and different cultures. So I think that's number two. So anything that derives from nature or culture is pretty much where I'm going to go for any kind of season. And that to me is the most interesting.
Yeah. And
I'm not much of a fashion person, actually, to tell you the truth. I wouldn't know what the hell's going on out there.
But I think that's the main thing, like, because your brand is all about crafting and it's all about things that will last a long time. You can't stick to trends. You can't do that because
it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I often find if I have a go at it, like I will sometimes have a go at bright colours or, I don't know, God forbid, pastels and florals. People don't expect it from me, so I quickly learn, don't go there. Don't go there. Somebody's already doing that a lot better than me, so just stick at what you're good at, girl.
Yeah. And that's I think staying in your lane's been a big thing, for the past, 5 or 6 years that I'm doing, is that you really look at where you're good at, what you do. And I think the main thing is to really sort of what you were saying, like culture and everything that works with that, is just to expand and work within that environment more, just like biology, and then research it and just get better and better at it.
Look, I think generally, I mean, people ask me, I think they say make your hobby your passion. I guess that's what I did. I mean, I was a working journalist and I used to love interiors and textiles. So I really made my hobby my job, if you like.
Yeah.
But if you actually, something that you've researched and you know a lot about, generally people get that you're much more of an expert on that subject matter, than try and be a master of jack of all trades sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then your life also is fulfilled because you're filling yourself up. You're not trying to constantly empty yourself of things that you're really not competent about.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, my whole philosophy of life is that we have such a short time here, Shaynna. Why would we possibly do something that we didn't consider, you know, that we were passionate about or had an interest in? So
Yeah, but
I guess,
look more at the dollar as being passionate. I think that's the thing.
yeah,
You know, we're coming out of that area of what do we want out of life, because everybody's had to slow down, shut down, and it's like, well, what do you want? And I think, you know, what you were saying there, we've lost that in the fact of, like,
we
we've got to
have.
make them do this, we've got to
We've got to
drive
make
it.
the God Almighty, yeah, the green God, right? Well, look, it is, you know, we know that it's tight, and it's tight at the moment for all of us. And it's, you know, we're all in the same boat. So we virtually have the same kind of compassion. And when you
Yeah.
are selling something like I am, which is not a mass product, I mean, I've never met anyone who said they didn't like it, but, you know, people's budgets are, you know, varying. So, I mean, ours is fairly middle to higher end, and we do that because we do pay the people that make it well, because I value their workmanship and their ability, because I don't have it. I mean, I struggle to sew on a button. I mean, so it's true. Yeah, I was that girl in home ec who never finished her apron, and I've got a textile company.
Well, you said
But I can cook.
Look, I think that's the thing with, you know, what you're saying about the working with craftsmen. Do you want to sort of talk about that? Because, you know, you go to Delhi, you've got your families that you work with there. You know, for 27 years, they're your family now.
Yeah,
And
they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a phenomenal thing, India. I mean, it's a bit like going to the, you know, the bar at Star Wars. I mean, you know, it's mad. India's mad. You know, is every kind of human available on the planetary system? It's like the Star Wars bar. You can't think, how the hell can anything go on? I mean, when I went there, we didn't even have electricity. It'd take me a week to send a fax. So, I mean, I've seen a huge change in India from the 30 years that I've been going. So it is phenomenal in the fact that it can produce such incredibly fine, detailed work. But the management of India, the whole structure of it is very long-winded and incredibly hard to get anything done. You know, it's amazing. But anyway, I basically looked at, I mean, my introduction to India was really through the temples, and, you know, I started off in ashrams, so I went as a bit of a seeker. So I was going to be seeing all of that amazing, elaborate, you know, costumes and designs they had for the deities. So it was my goal to really simplify the wonderful crafts that they do and make that for a Western palate. And I was obviously much more organic, so they'd never really seen that rustic kind of organic look. So I had to try and do the, you know, scale that opulent thing right down and bring in the organic thing right up and meet it somewhere in the middle. So to be able to send a fax, as I say, it took me a week to send a fax, but then I would draw something out, and one of the embroiderers or the weavers would take that idea, and I expected to see it in a couple of days, and in sort of 15 minutes they'd have this thing, is this right, madam? Is this what you're looking for, madam? And I'm like, hell yes. So you can't, there's no understanding how India works, but we obviously can't do that in the West. We don't have those kind of skills. And I think I fell in love with that very early on and thought, I want to support these people. I don't, you know, if it takes my life, I want to keep this thing alive. This is amazing. This is
you know,
real artisanness.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you've kept that going and kept that going. And I saw something you posted today just about the fashion industry, how we, you know, we're in that disposable world. People getting garments that have been discarded and turning them into something else. But the thing is, as a society, we have to wake up in the fact that you have to spend on things that are good quality. You have to pay the money handmade.
Yes.
And only
Yes.
that is that if we want to keep the environment going and we want, you know, to support climate change and support a healthy world for the people that we leave behind us, we have to understand that, you know, paying $5 for a trinket 3 or 4 times a year is really, you know, surfacing in
Wasteful.
that
Yeah.
we are slave labor. So if we're going to
Yeah.
buy a lot of that, we get slave labor. And what you're trying to do is
Yeah.
create that environment of artisans so you stay
Correct.
away from the environment. And that's,
Correct.
you know, be reminded.
And I mean, yeah, I even said, I don't know where we were the other day, but I don't know, I bought a pair of shoes and they were 2 for $30. And I was like, somewhere, someone got nothing for making those.
Yeah.
And it made me sick because I thought, I've just contributed to that.
Yeah. And,
So
you know,
I'm actually the worst shopper because I feel sick about, you know, how we just, where the hell is all this stuff going? I mean, it's just a planet of junk. I mean, I sometimes used to look at the trade fairs, and I even stand above at the trade fairs, you know how big they are, and I just look down and I just think, God, this is just going to be in landfill.
Yeah.
All that plastic crap down there, and, you know, bits and bobs, and some of those trade fair stands you'd walk past and you wouldn't even know what they are. It's hard working out what the stuff is. It's just plastic crap.
Yeah.
But why do we need it? What is it, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's with your range. It's all organic, it's artisan, it's handmade, it's not throwaway. You hang on to it.
You
And
do.
look, people can afford that when they're doing up their home. But I just think if people can make more conscious choices and conscious choices about really
Well, I think this time has given us that time because we haven't been out there running around buying crap at the $2 shops and whatnot. I mean, maybe some people have, and I don't know if a lot of people are going to learn, but there are some people that have really moved their consciousness. I mean, I live with a recycling Nazi. Andrew is just, you know, he's from the 70s where he just recycles everything, and he's on us all to not buy and keep rubbish and not to take the plastic packaging and all of that when we're even buying food. So he's taught me a lot. I mean, I had a bad attitude towards that, but I've aligned with it now and understand I've just become as bad as he. Because where is it going to go?
Well, I think we've seen a lot of that lately in, you know, the oceans, and I saw a few things like, you know, how you have biodegradable plastic bags, and, you know, a university study had them buried into the ground, and you know, I think it was 2 or 3 years later it was still the same, and you could put everything and still carry. So
so it's a big issue for me, and I'm very thankful and grateful that this new generation has a fresh vision towards you know, organics and handcrafted, and I think there is hope. We all went through a terrible time as, you know, let's just get it as cheap as we can. So, and I get it that that people have got their budgets, you know, I have too. So we definitely try and work with that. We have a lower end product that we try and do higher volumes on so that we can chase those prices down and still be able to pay the craftspeople what they're worth and not, you know, a penny less, basically.
Yeah, and as Brig Lacey here said, you know, if you look in the right places, you can definitely find stuff that's affordable and sustainable. So it's just taking time. It's just taking a bit more time to.
It really does. And I mean, it's going to be a few sharp shocks of, you know, of people and their lives adjusting to another way of thinking.
Yeah. Now I want to go to the business part of you. Now, we actually met in Melbourne with Barbara and John Herman, who had anyone here from Melbourne or anyone who travels from design fairs going to Melbourne know Barbara and John Herman. They are the most
iconic
people. But tell us your story, because really, you know, you came down with a suitcase of samples.
I did. Actually, when I first started, there was a few stores that I thought, oh, look, just love to be part of them. Orson and Blake was one in Sydney, which I've had a lovely long relationship, and of course Herman and Herman, which And I heard, you know, Barbara Herman, oh, she's a bit scary, you know, she's this Dion of, you know, Melbourne interiors. And I kind of had to psych myself up. And I remember rocking up with my agent, Beverly Gotham, and my suitcase of samples, you know, this young mother, or, you know, all of 26 or something, whatever I was. And in her old Mercedes-Benz, and had this appointment with Barbara, and I was on the ground and Barbara was sitting in a chair, and I was flicking through the samples showing her the cushions, you know, and I basically, as I was doing it, she was saying nothing, and then more nothing. And as she was saying nothing, my head was sinking lower and lower to the ground, thinking, oh my God, I just want to get the hell out of here. She hates it. And I got down to the very last cushion cover and I looked up and she said, we love it all. We'll take the whole lot. I was like, oh.
Amazing.
So there started sort of a 25-year relationship. And I think probably, we were on the same kind of page. You know, all I described, Barbara had been doing that for many years prior to me, and had that huge international network of artisans, especially in the Philippines, and all those wonderful designers like Kenneth Cope and all those people that she was already supporting. So it was really a marriage made in heaven. And, you know, we just had a symbiotic relationship until the day that wonderful store, the doors closed.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm incredibly grateful. And
like they had the store. They had the store, and then you came. It was about, as you said, a symbiotic relationship in the fact that you both support each other in many different ways. And I think in the retail, the wholesale, the design industry, you've all got to support each other, because we all end up benefiting in some way in the end.
We do. And I mean, I think that's the delightful thing about business, Shaynna. If you can also do it with your friends, help your friends. I mean, I have a lot of friends in the wholesale industry, and if I get a job, I can't wait to tell so-and-so about they need lamps, or so-and-so, you know, they need some furniture.
We did that.
I did that for you. There's a natural high that comes from that. I think it's like anything in life. It's nice when you have a win, but it's even nicer if you can get your friends to have a win as well. It's about endorphins, and I think if you go to or approach business like that, you'll never really work a day in your life, because it's really exciting. It's a lot of fun.
And the thing is also, ups and downs, but if you've got your friends with you as your actual friends, and then your associates that are big friends, you do bring each other up and sort of get that groundswell. And
you're there for each other in the bad times too, as confidants. And I mean, like Barbara and John for me have been, you know, just incredible confidants and advisors. I mean, there's not much that they haven't seen in the retail industry. Unfortunately, they were very smart. They got out at the right time, but you know, they had been through some incredible ups and downs, and they were always there to lend an ear and give you some advice. And that's the beautiful thing about community business. And I think it's important we get back to that. Everyone wants to be, you know, the biggest and the best, but a really nice attitude is to have your friends along with you for the ride. So I've spent a lot of time doing that, mentoring smaller businesses coming up, because I felt that I had that. I was given that, and I think it's just natural that you should pass that along. Because God knows it's hard. It's hard. There's a lot of decisions to make, and it's not always easy. And sometimes you feel like, no, I'm just not doing this anymore. But you get a couple of wins, and then you're away again.
But I know that we've had a couple of, you know, bubbles and tears together at the same time about things.
Oh, hell yeah.
Put your guts out. As a business, you're driving so hard, and then you just need one thing to just fall down, and you just go, how did that happen? Like, what do you do? And then you just sort of like, as friends and people in business, is really just about just breaking it down and talking about it, and walking away from it going, oh, I can wake up tomorrow and pick my socks up, you know. And that,
you can. And I mean, I think it's all in the attitude. That's the Aries spirit, I think. A lot of people get defeated, but I think I don't know, I can't speak for you, but I know I'm always at my best when I'm backed into a corner. I'm a bit of a problem solver,
Yeah.
I do think there's two things that should be taught at university. One is problem solving and the other is conflict resolution.
Yeah, and I don't think there's enough of that because a lot of people
No.
have too much a knee-jerk reaction, or and social media has been a big thing of that, of like when something goes wrong, it's just like bang before asking the questions. Did you like that?
Sure.
Before asking
Exactly.
like to go,
Well,
hang on.
that's people's lack of empathy.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm hoping from all of this that's happening at the moment that we get our empathy back. And I'm seeing it a lot.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a nicer space to be in. It's a more heartwarming space to be in.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because
so we just spoke of fellow Aries. So we've got we're fighters. We're Aries.
Yes.
My girlfriend Aries. I know a lot of Aries women because it's just about pick yourself up and off you go. We love water.
We do.
We love water collies. We love a champagne.
Yeah.
Yes. We love happy times, but there's something you do that I don't do, and you have a horse that comes
I do.
He
does.
Tell us about the horse.
Well, he's in his other paddock tonight. Otherwise, I would have invited him in for it. He's a grumpy old thing. He's an old Arab. He's my number 7 horse, and will be my last. He's 28 actually, but he's still a good look of a thing. I call him my surfy boy. He's got the blonde mane and tail. Yes, but he does, because he's an only child horse. We have the border collie. We allow him to wander around what we call the house paddock. And of course, that's where the warehouse and the office are, because yes, I do things differently. I have my warehouse studio, everything on the land that we have in Talabudra Valley. I always thought from the beginning, why couldn't I do that? I'm not having some, storage facility in Burleigh West with next door to a mechanic shop or something. So I thought, I'm doing something organic. Let me do it in an organic environment where my design clients can come, and it's like a complete change of scenery for them. So yes, he does pop his big head and gives us a whinny because he's always looking for something to eat. And he's a total botherer, but he's a lovely fellow, and we do love him, my dear Kalki. So he's inspired a lot of the designs. I've just did a video last week about that. We sort of did a metal horse's head that his beautiful features.
Yeah.
So they do inspire a lot. I mean, he's here on the planet for me to look after. I feel bad that he's out there in the paddock on his own. So yes, he gets to crawl around. He watches TV with me.
You haven't got the real Mr. Ed, have you?
He is Mr. Ed. He's grumpy like Mr. Ed. I'm like, Andrew and him are 2 old grumpy men together.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh, absolutely. So we were talking about, you started as a young mum, and your son is now in business with you. So Sham, and very proud of
my darling Sham. Sham actually has his own business too, Aurelius, which he's got a leather company, lovely leather bag, the vintage travel bag. Yeah. So he was amazing. He really didn't want to join, a cushion company. In 21, he was at university doing a business degree, and I had said to him, look, he'd come to India as a kid with me many times, and had that lovely experience, but sort of not interested in what I'm up to. But he's a very good photographer, and so is a mate of his. So I said, look, son, come with me and do a behind-the-scenes video of how I do it, all my weavers, my craftsmen. I want to tell people or show people what goes into doing this whole thing. So he came with me, and he actually realised for the first time, he said to me, Mum, this is amazing what you do. This is incredible. You could do something with this. And I'm like, oh, no kidding. So he joined, and because his father is American, my first husband is American, so Sham had American citizenship. He decided at 21 to take it to the United States, and he was there for 7 years or 6 years, and you met him over there when we went to Atlanta. So, he was basically walking into the boardroom of Neiman Marcus at 21, and and meeting with agents and setting us up an agency. So we had a pretty remarkable journey over there, and you know, me flying backwards and forth. But basically, he was a lone ranger over there, establishing the brand for all those years, living in Los Angeles. Very brave, and he's back here now, and he's built on Kelky's paddock next door. The horse had to move over a bit, but he's just moved into his new house, which is on the property. Yeah, he's still involved in the business, but not so much. He's, you know, really got this lovely other business. But it's been, as you know, working with your kids, my darling, doing lovely movies with your lovely son, which they're the same age. I think they're both born in '89.
Yeah, I've actually really enjoyed it. Like, I know it's challenging, and what I found the great thing is, and you did this too with Charm, is that it comes to a part where you step back, and so they're actually in charge, and you're sort of the person going, well, how can I help? What can I do? And let them take charge and just see how they work. And you know, seeing the dynamics of my two kids together just was amazing. They, you know, growing up, they were so polar opposites, so different, and to see them actually have their yin and yang come together and work out something that made them a team, you know, sitting back and watching it. And that would have been the same with you, just like watching it.
It was. And I mean, he was so young and really had not a lot of experience other than what he'd seen me do. But he would, you know, I used to talk about stepping back. He would set up a better trade fair stand or a showroom than I. He has an amazing eye, and I'm like, oh, good on you, son. That's better than I could do. So
it's a big call.
And I mean, I'm still much more of a creative head. I hate logistics. So Sham's got a good head for all the finance and the logistical part of it, which I find a bit of a nightmare. I'd rather be creating and obviously because of my background in the media, I'd rather be doing the storytelling of the company. So I leave that sort of thing to him. But yeah, it's really interesting. We still fight, and we definitely have different points of view, and he's got a very strong opinion, I'll have you know.
Yeah.
He's not backing down to this Aries mother. So but it's good because you come up with a better solution sometimes.
Yeah, and seeing you both in action, like, it was so much fun. Like, I was over in Atlanta for World of Design.
That was fun.
Section, and you took me into one other part of the building, and you know, you were the queen of that level. Like, you were taking me around, showing me, you know, all these people, meeting other people, and just seeing what was there. And you know, you were just holding your own as though you'd been there forever, and this is, you know, where what you do.
They were very kind. I mean, I think it's the New Zealand, Australian thing. I think they love the Aussies, and I mean, the American market, as you well know, is bloody tough. I mean, everyone thinks really tough. And I mean, there's a lot of competition. And what I was introducing again was a different look. They'd not ever seen that before. It was quite a shock to them of what we were doing. So it took a wee while for them to actually get it. Because as I showed you, very flouncy and big, and, you know, lots of florals and pastels and, you know, hardly my look. But they gained respect for Sham too, because he'd done this alone, and I was the sort of fly in, fly out, do the trade fairs. But I have to say they were incredibly warm and friendly to us. I mean, I made a lot of amazing designer friends and other, they call them vendors over there, other wholesalers, which I'll have lifelong, you know, friendships with. Yeah. So that was great to be able to introduce, because there is so much. And when you came, I thought, God, I'll just show her the top few. So you know, I mean, it's daunting. There is acres and acres, as you well know. You could never get it. Yeah, you couldn't get around there in a week. You couldn't.
No. So you just have to have a plan. It's like bigger than Disneyland, and that's on a couple of times a year. So to people to find you and people to actually, you know, find your products and sell them and sell them around the country, like, that's major. That is absolutely major.
That is major. And I mean, I think probably at that time there had been a shift in retail. and things weren't as good. I mean, you know, Pier 1's just gone into bankruptcy. Pier 1.
Oh,
And
really?
Neiman Marcus is also in
Yeah.
bankrupt. Yeah. So I
Really?
mean, things are bloody serious. It's not your little guys. It's the majors that are all
Yeah.
falling over.
And so
So
maybe
we're
that's
still
where the
grateful for ours. We still have a lovely American clientele. We deal with Front Gate, and we have a lot of wonderful model home designers, they call them there, Shaynna, display home companies.
art.
So that are consistently buying off us. So even though we're not present there anymore in a showroom, we still have, which is really what I wanted to do. I think for Sham's sake, the change of government over there, it was kind of a good time to come home. But it was best that we sort of got the top 10 or 20 companies that got us and loved us. And then if they love you and they get it, they'll sell it.
Yeah.
And as far as retail goes, anyway, I was just discussing this with someone the other day. We're really not a retail company. We're a company that has maybe a retail shop front, but essentially a design company that specializes in interior design for their clients, like a Herman and Herman. So really, it picked up at Herman and Herman when they had a full design service, and it was obvious that people walk into a shop like that, they love it, but they don't know how to put it together.
Yeah.
No idea. It's too much. It's too daunting. It's not Harvey Norman or, you know, Domain. It's something layered and textural and from other countries. So you need a designer with an experience to be able to put into the home of that they live in, the look to the amount that they can handle.
Yeah.
So that's where,
series of videos to help people like that now, and I know
yeah.
you just like, oh, here comes this crazy woman again with another video.
Yes.
But if anyone wants to know how to layer cushions and
They
texture,
do, darling. They
yes,
do.
look at Bandhini Home Design. There's a whole heap
It's
of videos.
like it's rocket science or something. It's not the hardest thing in the world, children. It's not rocket science.
No, but it
But
is
anyway.
for, you know, it comes natural to you, but it doesn't for a lot of other people. There's a lot of people, you know, that layering, that texture doesn't come easy, and no matter how much they sort of feel like getting the lessons, they find it really hard. So what are some of the I'm calling them tutorials. What are some of the tutorial videos you've got?
Okay, well, I'm going to I do how to layer a bed and how to, you know, add texture. I mean, because my brand is pretty much 100% texture. But 2 tips right here. No squares on chairs.
Right. So
Lumbers only. No squares on chairs.
Rectangles on chairs?
Yeah, rectangles on chairs. And the second one is nothing on the triangle. As much as you're tempted, don't put that cushion on the triangle.
Oh, God, that's just the worst one ever. I think when I started interior design, that the triangle was pretty much there. It was just like, you know, red, green, red, green, red, green. And it was just like walking to houses and just going, droop, droop.
Yeah, can't do it. I even walk into people I don't know and switch it around. Does my head in.
Oh, look, I have to say, and I cannot remember where it was. It wasn't long ago on a Selling Houses episode when I went to a house. There were some on a triangle. There were some.
Oh, can't be doing it.
It was almost something that was in a museum, I think.
Hey, listen, how did you go in the last house? Because I know we helped you with a few of your episode
and that's
coming up.
thing. You know, you've been in business for 27 years, but you still hand deliver the cushions in the middle of nowhere.
I did. Only because it's you, darling, and it wasn't so far away. So, oh no, I'm very hands-on. Hey, I'm still the best cushion stuffer in the warehouse, matey. I can outstuff any of those guys. You know what it's like. Move aside. You're not fast enough. I'm coming through. You know what I'm talking about. Hurry it up. Come on.
Tomorrow night is the Gap, you know, which is in Queensland, and it's a very big Queenslander that was very
enormous,
huge. And that's why we need That's why we needed 2,576 of your cushions to
I
actually.
know, I couldn't get, I felt like my car was like a little, couldn't put one wee wafer, monsieur. I couldn't get one more cushion in there.
It was like a clown's car. You open the door and it just goes, boom. But it came up really
Yeah, I know,
well.
right?
I can't wait for you to see it.
I know,
Yeah.
I'm sure you've, look, mate, I take my hat off to you. That's what my Sham said to me tonight. How come Shaynna's not tired? I said,
I get tired.
because she's the ever-ready bunny and she's always got another battery to put in. And he said, oh my God, she's doing the block and I mean, I can't imagine doing one of those houses. And how many does she do a year? I said, oh, something like 11 or 10 or something, not 12,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Well, no, it was 13. It was 13.
Oh, okay. Well,
it was only
anyway,
10%.
and then run your own business, and then anyway. So I mean, we've just
You're
done.
not
Oh no, I don't. You've got a multi-level thing. I mean, we've just done the build next door. Honestly, Shaynna, it nearly did my head in working with all those tradesmen. I mean, because everyone just wants to do average, and you're always trying to do a little bit better than the average.
Yeah.
And that's all they really know. So it's so hard to communicate how to do better on the same budget, because everybody thinks if you want to change it, it's got to be more expensive. But I'm just saying, okay, what if we did this? Because I'm thinking outside the square all the time, 2.4 doors rather than your standard, 1.8s and all this sort of thing, just to make it greater. So I can't imagine. I don't know how you honestly do it. I really don't. I think you must have the iron will of whatever.
I must admit, some days it's hard, but once you get on that momentum, it's like, once you've stuffed one cushion, you can do 200. You just get on the roll and off you go.
True. I mean, but some of them, honestly, they're total shit boxes. You just turn them around, girlfriend.
I know.
I mean, I would just like
really talk about the factories. I'm not going to. Sorry, I shouldn't have called them factories. The places that you actually get all your textiles and your designs. The families that you work with. What are some of the?
I mean, how we do it. My whole ethos of it is that I didn't want anyone displaced. I'm huge about that, because that's the problem with India. You have all these migrant workers that come in from their small villages, and then they come looking for a better life, and they don't find it. So they end up in the shanties underneath the big overpasses, and that's where you get your slums. So they're all the migrant workers, and often they're skilled labour. So how India works is that regions of India have certain crafts. So you can't ask a weaving area to do embroidery, because they don't. They've done weaving for generations. So obviously you're going to have all these satellite villages that perform all these different things. So because I do a multi-discipline product, which means that we do weaving, which is all done by looms, that we do embroideries, we do appliques, we do embellishments, we do block printing, we do screen printing, so that we have this textural element. So a lot of companies will just be a screen printing company. That's it. We do it. So I do everything. So in order for all of those little units to stay where they are, we have a central location in Delhi, which we handle all of the incoming. So basically we have a runner who goes out and picks up, say, all the front embroiders of a cushion, and then brings it back. Yep. And then it gets stitched in the unit and ironed and finished and checked and bagged and all ready to send to me in Australia or wherever I'm, any of my clients, because I have clients in Norway and America and all other places, so that we don't have that displacement. They're still in their villages, they're still with their families, they still celebrate, as they do, 125 different celebrations a year in India, which is a nice thing. And we have the central unit, so that we know that the product that we're getting, again, because India is notorious for, maybe, cutting costs and, corners and whatnot, just to keep the quality, we run our own production. Yeah. So that's how we do it. So we keep those little satellite families. And when I first started, I had a little bit of dough, which I was going to buy a house with, and I went house, business, use them as you do, to start that little unit and get that going. So that was the investment for the future. And obviously it's suited with my spiritual ethos of also making a difference in the lives of others. And, you know, just tonight I get an email, God, one of my guys, I'm his only client, and he's kept his workers on through the COVID, and basically he was saying, can I guarantee X amount, because he wants to keep X amount of workers on. So, you know, like it's nice, but the pressure's on, and we also don't know in this market. So it's up to me now to make sure that what I'm designing will suit the market, and I can keep him and his whole staff running, because he's basically saying, you're it for me, you're my client. So that's
sort of
one of the weeks.
Give you some sleepless nights, because you know that these...
Hell yeah. That's why it's not easy. It isn't. No. And anyone who says it is, I don't know, maybe they can detach from it, but I take it personally. Like, you know, Shaynna noticed when we first went over there that, oh, Mum, these are all the same people. I said, yeah, hell yeah, Shaynna. I put that their kids through school, you know, and now they're at uni. So, there is a definite, but I think that's good. That's a good thing, Shaynna, though, because it's not a faceless society. It's not something that, you know, you don't know where your bread and butter's coming from. I know who's doing it, and that's why I hate waste. You know, as you know, we're great gift givers here, and I recycle all the little bits of fabric. We make gift cards and whatever, because I know how much it's gone into weaving just that little bit of fabric, you know, that's been on the loom for 4 hours. So if you see it and you're there, then you get an appreciation for actually, could you do it? No, I couldn't do it. So
no. Well, I think, you know, I always say with one-off pieces, artisan, or, you know, sort of small runs, it's an investment in you know, quality into your home, and something's going to last a long time. But really, in the end, you're investing in people's lives. Like you're helping them invest in.
Well, that's it. At the end of the day, if we don't support these craftsmen, then it will go. There is no doubt in my mind there will be no handicraft industry in the world. Yeah. Because the skills are being lost, the cheap crap coming out of China and all these countries that are virtually paying the workers nothing to do it. That will be what we all want. And so it's up to us as consumers to say, that's not what we want. We want something that we can enjoy and hand down to my kid that's gorgeous now. It's like a lovely, beautiful old villa, right? Like I look at these Queenslanders driving around. It was beautiful then, and it's a beautiful thing now. It's still gorgeous, right? A beautiful old Queenslander. And you have those beautiful houses in Melbourne. Those brick rendered pieces of carry-on that they've got going on. You know, it's like that. They were ugly then, they're ugly now. We can't wait to demolish them.
Well, I you know, everything is about investing in now and the quality for yourself, so you feel good now, but also in the future. So,
and also because the resources on this planet are limited. I mean, where the hell are they coming from? We've only got one planet. We're not bringing new resources in from some other planet. So we might as well. That's why I like the discards of, you know, like I like raffia and I like sticks. I like things that, even shells that, you know, washed up on the beach, because it's nature saying, here you go, make some art out of it. And you're hurting nothing. And it's most of it, I do lie in bed at night and think, oh, well, worst comes to worst, all my stuff would sort of gently rot back into the ground. It wouldn't, you know what I mean? It wouldn't, not even nasty dyes and whatnot. It's not a piece of plastic.
Well, listen, I loved your work, your designs. From the day I met you, I love everything about you. And, you know, if anyone's watching here that doesn't know Tai's work, please, what's your website address?
All the W's, bandhinidesign.com.
Yeah, and I think people just have a look and look at the investment, look at the craftsmanship, the colours. And if you're watching me Selling Houses tomorrow night, cushions galore from
pregnant car of cushions they were.
The power of cushions. Well, I'm going to wrap up now. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, my darling, and thank you for your support and your ongoing love.
And same to you. And we'll talk very soon.
Okay, my dear. Ciao,
Okay,
baby.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was pretty amazing. Tai is just the most beautiful lady. Sustainability and artisan is something she's so passionate about. And I really would love for you all to just go visit her. Bandhini, I can't remember, I think it was Bandhini Design or Bandhini Home. I'll put it up anyway. I really think just check it out, have a look at her, the quality and her ethos, and you know, just be mindful when you buy your interiors and your homewares and things that you want. And yeah, check Selling Houses Australia tomorrow night, our final episode. So I'm going to do something real fun tomorrow night. I am going to do a Insta Live straight after the airing of Selling Houses. It's our very last episode. It's Charlie's, sorry, it's the very first. It's our very last episode. It's Charlie's last episode forever. And I will have a couple of wines watching it, so fingers crossed I won't be too emotional or whatever. But what we'll do is I'll actually look at the questions, because it'll be just me by myself, and I'll try and answer some questions and maybe answer some things about the episode. So thanks so much for joining me. It's great to see so many people here and listening and loving, and I will see you tomorrow night. Drop in about 9:30 and I'll definitely have a wine this time and not tea. So happy Tuesday, and tomorrow will be happy Wednesday, and I will see you then. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye.